Got a message tonight on my mailbox. It says, "Dear Flash Mobber, the second Paris mob will take place tonight. Synchronize your watch on www.horlogeparlante.com or your phone at 3699. Be at 6:52 p.m. with your umbrella at 50 Rue Rambuteau, Station Rambuteau. Someone will deliver you the instructions." Start strolling quietly around the place. Don't form groups until 7 p.m. After 7, every 10 seconds, open and close your umbrella, still strolling. Once you're near the flower pot, start turning around clockwise and sing in a monotone way the following text. Let's walk around the pot until rain begets the golden flower. How poetic. And all that under the eyes of a cat. A cat? This was Paris, November 2001. The sound of the September bagpipes was still in the air. Everybody felt we had entered a new age. We marveled at the way New Yorkers had faced the tragedy, and the biggest Parisian newspaper had put on its front page, "We are all Americans." You heard everywhere the same words. Let's unite against the killers. The whole world was a band of brothers. Don't know who's to blame for the fact that it didn't last. Certainly not the cats. A cat on a roof, then another, then another. I picked them at random. I did not even think that someday they would steal cat-like into a movie. At that moment they were just signs, but comforting ones. And how we did need comforting signs on these days. So, somebody at night was risking his neck just to have a smile floating over the city. I wondered who the painter could be. A crossbreed of Charles Schulz and Spider-Man. He was performing in the most unexpected places. You'd swear he would need a third arm, or was it a paw, just to keep his balance between brushes and buckets. On occasion he assigned a task to his cats. Some were in charge of welcoming the travelers in the rail stations. To someone who landed in that gloomy city, where smiling had become a kind of secret cipher between affiliates, the grin of the cat was the gate to a different Paris, as it used to be in merrier times. And it was no wonder that, following its path, you would encounter the traces of that past. fact, the first cat I had spotted wasn't on a roof, but in one of the rare locations that had not changed for 60 years, the locks on the canal, a legendary site of pre-war cinema. Hôtel du Nord, Louis Jouvet, Marcel Carné, holy names for a film maniac.
J'ai besoin de changer d'atmosphère, et mon atmosphère, c'est quoi?
Atmosphère! Atmosphère! Est-ce que c'est une gueule d'atmosphère?
Then I discovered I wasn't alone in my hunt. Some newspapers heralded the cat. An army of yellow cats is invading the city, which was a clear overstatement. That army was made of a few sentries, but strategically disposed. Some of them did climb down from their roofs to appear at human eyes level, and even one went to the ground. The author craftily used the texture of a tree on the banks of River Seine to make the critter look like an owl in its nest, thus illustrating my favorite slogan: the owl is to the cat what the angel is to the man. But as soon as they were within reach, they became vulnerable, and the enemy was watching. A grinning cat appeared on the wall of the church at Saint-Germain-des-Prés. Within a month, he was erased. Does that iconoclastic rage ring a bell? Sure, the Taliban blowing out the Buddhas in Afghanistan. I'm not joking. Given their respective environments, both obscurantisms show the two faces of the same coin. To the soundtrack of the metro, I wander across the city. And I'm looking for the cats. The musicians get a standing ovation. Of course, those people were standing anyway, but don't forget that probably not one of them ever entered a concert hall. That's why I love the metro. I have some good friends there. Meet Bolero, the cat, at Strasbourg-Saint-Denis, and his human companion Elizabeth. No cat in Paris is better groomed than Bolero, even where the rich live. In the metro, you meet the destitute and the tourist, equally lost. You too get lost at times, unless you join the society of those who are simply lost in their thoughts, sometimes with good reasons. And naturally, it is just when after so many apparitions of gremlins, zombies and griffins, you're ready to give up your hunt, that the cat deigns to materialize. The next surprise is to watch a pigeon transforming itself into a man. Once outside, the real world strikes back. While I was hunting cats downstairs, honorable men on the first floor were cooking the presidential election. This one promises to be especially mind-boggling. The left, which had a good chance to challenge the incumbent president, Mr. Chirac, is in pieces. As the saying goes, one Trotskyite a militant, two Trotskyites a party, three Trotskyites a split. We have all three, plus the communists, plus the Greens, plus a few mavericks, while the Socialist Party desperately tries to make out of this cacophony a coalition. So begins the new year.
Oui, je suis candidat.
Chirac was the first to draw. To confront him, socialist Jospin would be the best choice. But there's an obvious lack of support from his own allies. They reproach him not to appear ostensibly enough as a leftist. And at times, it doesn't help to clarify the debate when, for instance, in a TV interview, he declares that while he himself is a socialist, his program is not. Hence a certain confusion, which doesn't escape the piercing eye of Mr. Le Pen, candidate of the extreme right. He says, Jospin is threatened by the 6 candidates of the radical left. My intention is to beat him in the first round. Nobody then pays attention to that prophecy. You may wonder, as you hear some leftists attacking their own candidate more fiercely than his opponent, when they don't accuse him blatantly of being a slave to capital.
Ne vous laissez pas balader entre les deux candidats.
The Trotskyites follow their own logic, but others, who pretend to be only critical supporters, begin to play with fire. The catch is, they all are absolutely sure that there is no risk playing the tough guys. Imagining that Jospin won't be present at the second round is pure nonsense. Now let's go back to a more familiar world, the world of cats, which has its own share of troubles. Take, for instance, that Saturday afternoon, when the cat Caroline got stuck on the top of a tree and couldn't descend. Even the firemen gave up. That was enough of a drama to keep the whole neighborhood aghast. But the Parisian soil begets heroes when they're needed, and this one saved the day.
Like that, sure.
On April 21, catastrophe. The cat Bolero caught his paw in the escalator. Elizabeth brought first aid. And as misfortunes never come singly, yes, the unthinkable happened. For the first time in a modern democracy, the extreme right comes second in a presidential election. For a kinky situation, a kinky answer. The whole political spectrum from left to right supports Chirac in the second round. The polls deliver their prediction. Chirac should make around 80% of the vote. It's a gag, says one of Le Pen's cronies. There will be a national uprising. Mr. Le Pen himself announces a big surprise for the next round. Getting less than 30%, says he, would be a bitter failure. The answer of the street is immediate. As Le Pen's favorite ground is the danger of immigration, the youngsters loudly claim their immigrant origin.
Nous sommes tous des enfants immigrés. À la première, à la deuxième, à la troisième génération. Nous sommes tous des enfants immigrés. À la première, à la deuxième, à la troisième génération. Nous sommes tous des enfants immigrés. À la première, à la deuxième, à la troisième génération.
Obviously an old activist. How many May Days are stored inside his memory? Here I've got a scoop. Le Pen bashing in Esperanto. I didn't miss a word. Let's face it, these girls with their war paint are lovely, but the fascist legions are not besieging our gates. And if Le Pen is a dictator, it's mainly against his own people. Yet, what we see here coming on stage is an entire generation that was spoken of as being apolitical.
Jacques Chirac est élu président de la République avec 82,1% des voix. C'est un gag.
Chirac is elected, 82%. Mao Zedong rolls in his grave. A real statesman would have seized that unique opportunity to build up a kind of New Deal. But this is not about a real statesman, it's about Mr. Chirac.
Dans les mois, dans les années à venir, j'aurai besoin de vous.
On the spur of the exhilaration, he promised his voters they could count on him, and he went back home.
Je compte sur vous.
And the rest is not history.
Et vive la France!
But the second round surprise was not what Le Pen had predicted. I was there, watching PPDA, the most celebrated anchorman of French television. And whom did I spot in a corner of the screen?
Qui se trouve à la place de la Bastille, ou peut-être qui était en train de se trouver place de la Bastille, puisque apparemment il y a un déplacement de population, là, Patrick Bourabou, qui précédait cette manifestation.
So, the cat himself had chosen to reappear at that moment. Was he suddenly titillated by political ambition? My own cat Guillaume immediately designed an acronym, Humanistic Anarchistic Confederation of Workers. Or was it enough for him to continue to publicize his grin? And by the way, where did that grin come from? The Cheshire Cat, of course. Also Miyazaki, the manga, Japanese hats. Found in my files, an archive from year 2000, when the author still was testing his style. But when you search deeper into art history, you can make surprising discoveries. An expert speaks. How true. Thus you could follow the path of the cat through the ages, from cave painting until constructivism. Some metamorphosis of the cat. The cat advertises himself in the metro. The cat uses Amélie for his own benefit. The cat rates high at the stock exchange. The post office issues stamps representing the cat. The cat makes the front page on the tabloids. The cat squats on the web. When the cat entered the White House official site, I knew that something serious was at stake. For in the meantime, a war was boiling up.
1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want to fucking war. 5, 6, 7, 8. Organize and demonstrate. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your fucking war. 5, 6, 7.
On March 17, President Bush gives Saddam 48 hours to leave Iraq. He also compares him to Hitler. Good. Let's just imagine Churchill giving Hitler 48 hours to get out of Germany.
Qui n'offre que la guerre. Le napalm.
And the gassing of the Kurds. Who was it? The Kurds. Always caught between two enemies. March 19, President Bush announces the war.
My fellow citizens, at this hour, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger.
It concludes that Iraq has chemical and biological weapons, which could be activated within 45 minutes.
UN inspectors don't find trace of the famous weapons. Yet here, a well-known French personality asserts that they did, and quotes from a newspaper, "The only wish of the people in Baghdad is to be protected by Americans and Britons. Bush Sr. liberated Kuwait. Bush Jr. liberates Iraq. Someday the oldest street in Baghdad shall be named after him." Who said all Frenchmen were traitors? March 20. The bombing of Baghdad. A people's representative addresses the Americans. Not very smart.
Flood of anti-Americanism in which this country is swimming these days is incredible. We are on the verge of the canonization of Saddam Hussein.
Not smart, but mainly not true. These youngsters don't canonize anyone. They'd rather demonize everybody. With a peculiar dislike for President Bush, perhaps. But in this, they won't remain lonely for long. They think global, and their slogan is, "To each his own." The pattern of these demos is as multifaceted as a Rubik's Cube. A group deliberately aligns Israel in the war camp, and a few yards away you meet the supporters of the Jews for Peace movement. You hear that young Jews have been attacked by rabid anti-Zionists, yet you see here and there the badge to fight anti-Semitism. Why should the streets of Paris be less chaotic than the rest of the world?
Des agressions même avec l'attaque samedi dernier de 2 jeunes juifs. La radicalisation des manifestations anti-guerre embarrasse les partis de gauche.
Non au survol du territoire français par les B-52. Non au survol.
"Are you filming us?" said the cop. "Of course not," says I. Almost no lying. But my main reason to be here has nothing to do with the intricacies of world politics. Since this coup on election day, everybody wonders when the cat will strike again. So I wander from demo to demo with a single question. Where are the cats? Where are the cats? Where are the cats? One more time, and I don't finish my question.
Any outlaw regime that has ties to terrorist groups and seeks or possesses weapons of mass destruction is a grave danger to the civilized world. We've begun the search for hidden chemical and biological weapons and already know of hundreds of sites that will be investigated.
And yet, no weapons of mass destruction. The correspondent of Sky News beautifully phrases the question.
They haven't been deployed, they haven't been discovered. Is this war going to make history by being ended before you found its cause?
That's a great question.
UNESCO had warned against the risks of plundering in the Baghdad museums. On April 11, the archaeological museum was plundered. If someday I had the opportunity to plunder the Louvre, I know damn well what I would pick. A visit to the street museum. At the end of my stroll, I happened to be back where we started, where the people used to open and close their umbrellas. That debatable golden pot in front of which I did show you the first cat. What is the cat up to by now? After his triumph in the demos, he seems just bound to relax or fly. But his reputation keeps growing. He is signaled everywhere. Except that sometimes the French language plays tricks. For cat, we say chat, C-H-A-T, which means that when you look for cats on the web, you have to get rid of all the chatting sites. But one thing is for sure, with all that glory, the Parisian street has ceased to interest him. On the Parisian street by now, you can hear the backlash of the unkept promises. The new Prime Minister, M. Raffarin, may learn that he's finished, in stronger terms. We had left M. Raffarin in the euphoria of the 2002 victory. Let's remember what he said that night.
C'est très important d'avoir eu ce vote massif pour la République. Mais la République, est-ce qu'elle tient toujours ses promesses aujourd'hui? Où est la liberté d'entreprendre? Où est la liberté d'initiative? Où est l'égalité quand on parle des retraites? Où est l'égalité dans notre société? Où est la fraternité dans les quartiers de grande solitude? Donc ce que les gens demandent, c'est que cette République, elle soit vécue, partagée. Donc il manque d'autres méthodes, d'autres types d'actions de gouvernement pour être plus près de leurs attentes, plus près d'une efficacité de l'action publique. La politique devient impuissante. Et donc ce soir, on est heureux de ce sursaut républicain, mais je crois qu'on a tous été très contestés, tous les hommes politiques, dans nos méthodes de travail, dans nos capacités. Donc il faut tirer les leçons de tout ça et changer la politique.
Fine, but 1 year later, nothing has changed. Rhythm is what keeps the demos running. This one was born during the Vietnam years. Johnson then was the target. Then we heard it in May '68. And today again, adapted to a new mood. Don't forget what the Spanish Republicans used to say after they were crushed by Franco. We had the best songs. The crowd here chants a call for a general strike, something totally unrealistic in this time and place. But that kind of political juju-craft has a tremendous appeal. It goes back in history and evokes the great ancestors, the heroic strikers, as we used to watch them in Eisenstein movies. One more step, and we're in 36, the Popular Front. There we shift from unrealist to surrealist. Who could believe that the loudest demonstrators, those who boldly sing the International, are the members of an union, FO, created in 1948 at the outset of the Cold War, with American money, to challenge the communist-controlled CGT. The times, they are a-changing. June 1st. a die-in for the victims of AIDS.
Nous sommes en colère contre les puissants de ce monde qui sont capables de dépenser 200 milliards de dollars pour faire la guerre à l'Irak et incapables de trouver 10 milliards par an pour faire reculer le sida.
In these times, we, the people, gathered to watch 11 billionaires kicking a ball. What about the French team? Stalinesque sized posters as we had never seen the like of in Paris. And not one goal recorded. A tiny concert to remember the people who die on the street. Some demonstrators are more equal than others. When they themselves belong to show business, like the casual workers who complain about their status, they have a better chance to attract attention than, say, garbage men. They too crave for historical models. Somebody has got the brilliant idea to unearth a song composed during the German occupation, and by changing names, adapt it to poor Mr. Raffarin. There's a lot to deliver about the Prime Minister's deficiencies, but comparing him to Marshal Pétain is, shall we say, far-fetched. It's a great asset in life, not to know what you're talking about. Kommandantur. Really? Anyway, causes are a matter of fashion. In summer, the cause of the showbiz temporary workers had been fashionable. In autumn, the Islamic scarf would have its say.
France bien-aimée, où est la liberté? France bien-aimée, où est la liberté? Dans les femmes de conscience, respectez nos différences. Dans les femmes de conscience, respectez nos différences.
Le porte-parole pour les journalistes, c'est Wahiba. Faut pas oublier ça, le porte-parole pour le journaliste, c'est Wahiba. Si le journaliste qui doit parler, il va voir Wahiba. Merci les filles.
But when the Tibetans made a prayer-in to protest the visit of the Chinese premier, nobody winked. Oops, seems that someone goofed in the sound department. Let's get the right track. And when I say right, next chapter, Raffarin's Revenge. A curious moment. I catch a piece of dialogue. This government is a mess. Some supporters. This looks even more tricky than in the other camp. Let's try to locate ideology. Oh, there it is. Once more, the reference to the past accompanies a certain fuzziness in the symbols. These conservative youngsters picked their logo in a famous wartime poem, Liberty, I Write Thy Name, whose author was Paul Éluard, a communist, who would be surprised to side with the strike breakers. Their leader aims at being the rightist counterpart of peasant leader José Bové. Bové periodically goes to jail, and periodically there's a demo to ask for his release. I browsed through these faces until I recognized a friend, Léon Schwarzenberg, celebrated physician and activist, who ranks regularly among France's most beloved personalities. While sick and not too young, he's there to support his friend, and it is also the last time I see him.
Léon Schwarzenberg avait 79 ans et il s'est éteint ce matin à l'hôpital Paul Brousse de Villejuif. Les obsèques du professeur Schwarzenberg devraient avoir lieu vendredi après-midi au cimetière du Montparnasse. Charles Pasqua devant la Cour de justice de la République, c'est en tout cas le souhait du juge.
Through his whole life, Léon sided with the underdogs. A famous battle was in favor of immigrants, especially those who fall victims of inextricable red tape, the paperless. In 1999, there had been a concert in favor of the paperless. I happened to be there and filmed a young singer who was also a sort of counter-cultural icon, Bertrand Cantat. 5 years later, when he reappears in this movie, he has become the main character of a tragedy. He was madly in love with actress Marie Trintignant. Then one day he was madly angry at her, he struck her, and she died. There were hideous attacks. We told you these radicals are murderers. There were lame defenses. Yet he was indefensible. And yet he would have to carry this burden during his whole life, and words were powerless. For a moment we forgot about other dramas. The war was going on. The misery of the world was going on. Perhaps there was a kind of bitter symbolism in the fact that those 2 years full of sun and fury had climaxed in the story of two star-crossed lovers. And then, as usual, the tragedy turned to merchandise. A famous singer kills a famous actress. What a bounty for the scavengers. It has happened in Vilnius, Lithuania, a place nobody knows, which adds to the mystery. The crime of Vilnius. That sounds better than Brighton. Over this quagmire, all I can do is to keep a small silent place for Marie and Bertrand, and through editing, for a flimsy moment, bring their faces together. And you wonder why the cats abandon us? For months, I haven't seen the cat Bolero on his steps. What if they left us for good? We were the Freedom Cats. If you didn't catch the message, just move on. And then comes a sign. The same unknown hand has painted circles of cats on the sidewalk to watch over our sleep. Thank you, cats. We will badly need you, wherever we go.